Everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report, and I am your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, guys, America's mayor is back in the news. Mayor Lightfoot from Chicago. She's finally had enough of these protesters. Only the ones that are protesting outside of her house, though. She's put a ban out on protesting in front of her house. And she's not the only mayor that's doing this, that's having this problem. The mayor of Pittsburgh, I'm getting ready to show you a clip of a mayor from Pittsburgh, who's got protesters outside of his house. He said they crossed the line last night. Mayor Lightfoot defends ban on protesting outside her house. Mayor Lori Lightfoot on Thursday defended a police order to ban protesting outside her Logan Square home. The police issued edict to uphold a rarely enforced ordinance that restricts protests in residential areas, was force reported by the Tribune. That should go for everybody in Chicago, if it's residential areas, not just her home. The Tribune report cited an email from a police commander informing officers detailed to protect Lightfoot's residents that they should instruct anyone who shows up to the protest that city ordinance and state law prohibit protests in residential neighborhoods. After issuing that warning, the commander's instructions call for locking down the mayor's block and adjacent streets. After a third and final warning, the officer instructed to make arrests, according to the email. At an unrelated Thursday news conference, Lightfoot told reporters she won't apologize for protecting her block. This is a different time like no other. I'm not going to make any excuses for the fact that given the threats I have personally received, given the threats to my home and my family, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they are protected. I make no apologies whatsoever for that, the mayor said. We're living in a very different time, and I have seen these threats that come in, and I have an obligation to keep my home, my family, my wife, my 12-year-old, and my neighbors safe. I think that residents of this city, understanding the nature of the threats we are receiving on a daily basis, understand that I have a right to make sure my home is secure. We have a right to our home to live in peace. Do you guys believe that? All right, now let me show you what happened to the mayor of Pittsburgh last night.
Mayor Bill Peduto says a protest outside his house last night crossed the line, keeping his neighbors in Point Breeze awake all night with the sound of drums and chanting and at least one trombone. This morning, police broke up the remaining demonstrators. Are these protests going too far? Andy Sheehan is live now with a look at that. Andy.
Ken, for the past 2 months, Pittsburgh police have allowed the protesters unfettered access to city streets without permits. But today, the mayor says that doesn't give them the right to disturb a city neighborhood all through the night. Through the night, they beat on drums, blew on horns, and chanted outside the mayor's townhouse in Point Breeze.
We received numerous 911 calls last night for neighbors being harassed, loud noise complaints, disruptive behavior.
In the morning, police moved in and asked the remaining remnant of protesters to leave, and they did without resistance.
It's an unpermitted protest, and we do facilitate their First Amendment rights to a point until the residents of Pittsburgh ask us to step in and stop it, and that's what we did.
Like virtually all the Black Lives Matter protests of the past 2.5 months,
they're all
police
white.
Yesterday allowed
Look at them, they're all white.
Unfettered access to city streets without a permit to do so. But under guidelines negotiated with Vic Walsack of the American Civil Liberties Union, police have the right to clear streets and intersections and may cite or arrest people who refuse. The focus of last night's protest was the arrest of Matthew Cartier, who was arrested by plainclothes police Saturday and taken away in this white van. He is accused of illegally blocking intersections. While the ACLU agrees with protesters about the optics, Walsack says the arrest is legal if police had probable cause.
People need to, especially in this time, have an outlet to be able to exercise their rights, to be able to express their displeasure with what's going on in government. But at the same time, I think everybody needs to recognize that those rights are not unlimited.
The mayor wasn't home last night, but protesters left graffiti on his sidewalk and about 20 empty pizza boxes in his backyard. Some sleep-deprived neighbors seem to take it in stride.
I don't mind the mission being in my neighborhood. I would have preferred that the mayor come home and sit and listen to what they had to say.
Now, the mayor says he defends free speech, but in a statement says, quote, "What I cannot defend is any neighborhood in our city and their residents and families being disturbed through the night and morning, and a peaceful protest devolving into unacceptable conduct in which residents are being harassed and threatened. This crosses a line that cannot be allowed to continue, causing those committing crimes against residents to face possible legal consequences for their actions." Now, coming up at 6 o'clock, I'll take a look at the mayor himself, who's taking criticism not only from the protesters, but from the police themselves. That's tonight, coming up at 6. Reporting live at City Hall, Andy Sheehan, KDKA News.
All right, guys. The left is learning a harsh lesson. And that is, when you unleash these mobs, you can never determine where they go after that.